Hi everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. So, for all of you who are in the Northern Hemisphere, happy Samhain. And for all of you who are in the Southern Hemisphere, happy Beltane. So, the only way I have to begin with this tonight is just by showing you this Halloween.
Hello, everybody! Hello! Tutankhamun here is live. Cleopatra. I am the genie.
Getting a light, man. Getting a
A
light.
lady from France, we don't know.
Como verán,
Oh, I forgot about the alchemist.
oh, the alchemist too.
Hi, mom. She missed me.
It's okay. Okay. So as you have seen, after the pyramid today, they had channeled the whole Egypt. So great. So today we have begun very intense the morning, but at least we end up with laughter. All good. So today in the pyramid was I don't know how to explain how it was, because of course you have to live it, and it's not a thing to explain because it's really weird, as everything I do. So today we had three masters, and one of them was working from the darkness, the deepest part of the planet, giving us some tools to connect with the light. So the light's the same. So we connect with both of them, creating like a balance in the middle to expand and connect with the harmony of center of the self, expanding that to the portals of the planet. So it was intense and beautiful from my side. It was all dark because it was we turned off the lights in the pyramid, so it was intense. It was good. But it's impossible to explain what happened. I would ask to all of them how they lived it, but I would be a long time here. So just for a summary, how it was.
Amazing.
But define amazing.
Wow.
Scary.
Scary.
It was an Academy Award-winning performance.
Who was the most scared?
The alchemist.
I-
The alchemist.
Just to.
I was afraid.
What happens in the pyramid remains in the pyramid.
I have
What
to
happens
confess,
after?
I screamed.
Yeah. Yeah. Some people scream. She. Okay.
So, there's an excuse.
So at the beginning, it was really like living a little bit of Halloween. It was a bit scary. Even the inspector was a bit scared. But all of that was just to show us about our fears and so on. So, but then we did all the rest was to balance and to have the proper connection, and for me at least was really like a renewal. So But yes, it's impossible to explain what happened. you have to live it someday. Not always is the same, of course. So it's not always the same. So you never know what is going to happen, what you're going to experience. There was no recording for video, of course, and there are some recordings, voice recorded, audio, but I don't know if you can hear it well or not. Huh? No?
No, I don't want to interrupt. Don't try this home too.
Here they are saying that try not to listen to it alone at home. At least the first part.
Ring was the
so today is we have just one day left for the month of Libra. So today is the ankles. So you may say, good, we end, and no, we start with Scorpio. so let's see. Libra, remember, it has to be with the different aspects that we need to balance in ourselves, and according to the ankles is related to the purpose, to going ahead, okay, to move forward. So according to this of the purpose, what we are relating, the topic for today is about our position in the purpose, which would be the center or the periphery. So first of all, to understand what they mean, what those two concepts mean. So center comes from the Greek word kentron, that means I don't know these words in English. ¿Cómo se dice? Dardo. Dart. And aguijón. Target. Something that stinks. Okay, something that stinks. Yeah, sure.
the sting.
Sting. Okay. So would be all the things that are pointed to a specific dot. Okay, to a point. And periphery would be from the Greek to peri, which means around, and pheros, that means to take. So to take around, which would be the circle, and the center is the dot in the middle. So dot and circle, center and periphery, they refer to the two positions that we have in our lives. So we are, of course, in the center ourselves, like this is my spot, I am occupying a specific spot, but then around me I have a lot of people, all these persons. So each one of the persons that I have around in my life, in order to communicate with them, I have to become like them. So this means that I will rely my energy into become those persons, so I could move in different ways, in different movements, in different moments. So in our lives, we occupy a space for ourselves, but we are moving around constantly, depending on the people that we have around. So one of the things that we do, that happens to us, is that throughout our lives, throughout our lives, we start to change like constantly. We go outside from our center, and we start to become so much the others that we start to forget who we really are, and we start to live our lives according to how others perceive us in the outside, and we forget the place that we belong in the center. So in this movement that I leave my center in order to be understood and accepted by others, I start to rely the power of my personality into others. So my personality stops being a tool for myself, and it becomes a tool for others. So others can use me at their own will because I am just a tool for their own personality. So basically what happened is that Ahmed. So basically what happened is that when we are in the center, when we stop being in the center, we start to live our lives in the outside. We live the life through the life of others. So we stop living our own life, so we could live the lives of others. And this is something that we repeat in our whole life, like doing circles around our own self, but never touching our own self. So in our cultures, when we start to live our lives through the periphery of our reality, we start also to acknowledge that the vocabulary and the personality that we start to create for ourselves is something that is being moving constantly, is changing constantly. So I cannot relate with myself, and I am trying to adapt to all the things that are around me. So for example, all the people that pass by through my life, all the time, so the past of days, months, years, also the path of so we say the sun rises, the sun sets, the constellations passing by. So we have to adapt to an environment that is constantly changing, and we have this demand of our existence to try to adapt to all the things that are happening around us, but we cannot be ourselves. So basically what we start to do is to live the lives of others and other things, of other people, other things, and we try to run after all those things that are constantly changing, transforming themselves, and we cannot reach to that. So that would be. So we have another conflict from this perception of how the things are moving around, which is culture and religion. Culture and religion are constantly saying from a long time ago that that what we have to do is to think in the other one, to be there for the other one, to help the other ones, and not to be the center of everything. So we have been taught by culture and religion to be aside the other ones, to be one, to be with the rest, and never in the center, because to be in the center is to be selfish. So one of the things that we used to say in our current days is that we have to transcend egocentrism, because egocentrism is bad, and we have to be one with the others. We have to work all together as one, and we have to be equal like the rest. So they would say that egocentrism, which is to put the I am in the center, the self in the center, is something wrong. It's like a bad word that you shouldn't say it, you shouldn't do it. So one of the things that we have to understand about being in the center is that by being in the center, you start to relate yourself with your own power, to be your own self, to relate with your own power, with your own existence, which is the only thing that exists. But center is not the only thing, but you are also the periphery. You are the center and the periphery. So this means that the others are not just projecting on you, but they are a projection of yourself, that you have projected that in order to communicate with yourself in the outside. So when you try to leave the aspects around you, you are forgetting that those aspects are tools for the center, because all the aspects around are just expressions, tools, perceptions of your own reality. So when you are trying to leave their reality in order to be in service with the others, you stop being yourself and you're not being useful for them, neither for you. So the conflict is that if we are not in the center of ourselves, we cannot activate our own tool, so we are not useful for the rest, as the rest are not useful for me because they are not in the center trying to help me. So basically, to be centered is to activate the potential of your own tool. Because when you are in the center, you recognize the place where you belong, you recognize the power that you have, you awake your potential, and you are useful for the rest. But if you are not in the center, you will never be useful for the rest, you will never be useful for yourself. So that's what really means to be in the center. It's not about selfish, it's about to acknowledge your power, because when you are running around, you are not awakening your power, you are just following the power of others. So as an example, we may say that for example, I have the potential to be a musician, and all the people around me are different kind of artists, like architects, like people that know how to paint, actors, whatever. So all these people are talking to me all the time about those aspects of art, and what you do is to try to talk just like that, just of the same topics, because you want to be part of them, to be part of their groups, to be accepted. So you do all the things that others would love me to do. But if I go within to myself and I activate my potential of music, so maybe my music will help the one that paints to be inspired, the other one to make music inside their constructions, for a play, the music for a play, whatever. So when I occupy my space, when I activate my own potential, what I am doing is helping the others by not following the others, basically. So we have to picture that to be in the center, it means to be in the axis. So this is to be in the axis in the center, which is a fixed point, and all around is moving. So when I try to move along with all the movement, all the energy around me, so I lose my axis. But the perception of everything around me is moving is just a perception from my point of view in this matter, in the reality. But in the universe, it's not like that. It's not that perception. It's not moving. Basically, it's all just there. It's me, the only one that moves. So if we take this idea that the axis is the center and everything is moving around, it's like when we think that we are here on Earth and the stars and the sun, everything is moving around, like around us. So we perceive that everything is moving. So if we don't move behind it, after them, so we're going to lose our energy. Everything is moving, so I have to do something. So you go away from your own center because you want to keep the speed. But in the perception of the universe, it's totally the opposite. And how it's because the axis is the only one that is moving and the rest is fixed. How come? Because the Earth is the one that moves. The Earth is spinning, so I am spinning with the Earth, and the sky and the sun are there. So the perception of the sun rising is not the sun moving, it's the Earth moving. So everything that is around is just a perception of my movement. So this means that I should not go after the constellations or the sun to reach the truth. The truth is there because I move. It's my own movement that creates the perception of the outside. So it's not that I have to live in service with the others. It's that I am the others. It's simple. It's basically like that. So one of the next things that we have to understand about how this works is that neither the perimeter, the peripheria, and the center exist. They don't exist. They're just a perception also. And why is this? Because when you see a point in the universe and you go inside of it, you will see it become a circle. And when it goes away, you will see another point in front of you. So when you go, you see again a circle. And it's constantly like this, like a fractal. But the one that went behind didn't disappear. It just expanded and went back again to the same spot. So what we perceive as movement in the universe, the circle and the point, is not real. It's just the concept of observation. So there's no point and circle. Point and circle are just perceptions for us to understand, to move, to create. But for the universe, the essence of the universe, there is no one, no other. So all this pattern creates the concept of what we call a torus, a toroid shape, just made up with the perception of the observation. So the conflict that we have is related to this paradox that we say. You may heard this sentence that all the observed is conditioned by the observer. Okay, so the observer is the one that changes the reality which is observed. But basically what happened is that the one that is observing is made up with things that are observed. So this means that the things that are observed are not real precisely because in order to be observed, you need another point of view which is also observed, which is the paradox here. So basically, who really observes? So in this concept, the real concept, between the observer and the observed is the observation. Observation is the only thing that exists. The rest is just a perception. Observation is a concept. So in order to understand who observes, we have to eliminate the word who. Because who implies that there is someone before in order to observe. And that someone should have been created. So the observation is talking about mind, and mind is something that is a concept of the consciousness, but it's not someone that is thinking. It's the mind itself projecting the observer and the observed, which would be the observed in the center, the observer in the center, and the observed in the circle. But when you movement, you will see that both of them are the same. They're exactly the same thing. So this concept teaches you that there is nothing but a fixed point in the universe, that the observation is moving. So basically nothing is really moving. Everything is just one spot that is projecting a concept of observation. So the best image to explain how this void works is like a hamster in a wheel, okay? Because the circle and the point is the same thing. At the moment you see the circle, and when it disappears, it immediately becomes the dot. So as you see the circle going that way, you begin to see the point, the circle, the center in the middle. So it's not a point and a circle. It's the same thing, but you are perceiving it as two different things. So this hamster is just going like wow, 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 constantly in the same tiny circle, black and white, which is the void. So basically everything that exists is just one point, a spot in the universe that is constantly observing itself, projecting itself in different observations of itself. So it's always the same being observing itself in thousands and millions of perceptions, but it's a spot, it's a dot that never moved, that is fixed, and that's it. And that's all the things that exist. All the rest are just observations, and through that observation it creates the observer and the observed. And maybe you will ask yourself, and so what is this useful for? So the way this is going to be useful is by acknowledging that God doesn't exist, but neither we exist, because the only thing that exists is the mind, and each one of us is part of that mind. So if the whole cosmos is just one tiny spot observing itself, this means that each one of us is the same spot observing a different perspective and possibility of itself. So this is helpful when you need to say, okay, in order to go to the center, to go to that divine, I have to become myself. I have to go to the center and recognize that everything that I have around is just the possibilities of my own creation to allow myself to observe myself. So the important thing to get from this is that so when you realize about this, when you acknowledge that there is nothing outside, that the only thing that exists is just oneself, and so you recognize that nothing in the outside really can affect you, and that you are not in the in the service to others, because there's no other to serve. So when you it's kind of like you doesn't care about anything, but it's not about I don't care. It's basically you don't care because you are not in debt with anyone, because basically everything that you do, you will do it by yourself, for yourself. So when you work for others, when you do and serve others, you are doing it for the only being existing, which is your center. So it's not about doing this for others, it's recognizing that others are just yourself. And that's how you are not attached to the others, because others is you. So that's it. To today's information, the vibration for today is shu, 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 shu. The statement for today is I am the evolution in constant adjustment. The quote for today is cause and effect. The fifth law of the universe explains these consequences. Everything that we do in our life is an action that moves the energy surrounding us, that modifies our surroundings, and that transmutation comes back to us like an echo. The pulses and rhythms of cosmos makes every action propitiate a consequence that inevitably will affect me sooner or later. And for that, every step and decision must be properly considered. I just hope you can sleep after what I said today. Or maybe if you just can't, just forget what I said and maybe listen in a few years or so. Sit comfortable. Begin to caress the body. Stretch the body. Yawn. I let all the weight of my body fall down, focusing only in my breathing. I bring my attention to my left foot and start to move your toes and soft circles with your ankle. I start to bring this movement to my left knee and hip. Bending my body slowly to my left, I feel the pressure in my waist and come back to the center. Now I bring my attention to the movement of my left hand, moving my fingers, and very soft I make circles with my wrist. Softly I start to bring the movement to my elbow and my left shoulder. Very softly I begin to move my head in soft circles towards left. And begin to move it very softly towards the right. I bring the movement to my right shoulder and elbow. I start to move my right hand, soft circles with the wrist and the fingers. I bend my body towards the right, feeling the pressure in the waist, and I come back to the center. I start to move my right hip and knee. And I bring the movement to my ankle in soft circles and my right foot with its toes. Relax the body. Take a deep breath and become aware of the light of the I Am above my head. And I call it to get inside my body, to go all through it. I perceive it getting in through my crown, third eye, throat, heart, plexus, sacrum, root, knees, and ankles, expanding its light through my feet. With my hands, I start to give a soft massage to my ankles. I massage behind, by the sides, and in front towards the feet. I become aware that this is the portal of my destiny, and my destiny is the center. Take a deep breath, and I begin to irradiate this light towards the center through my sound. Take a deep breath. I am the evolution in constant adjustment. I am the evolution in constant adaptation. I am the evolution in constant adaptation. Take a deep breath. By the movement of my body, I begin to bring this consciousness through each one of the portals of my own body, which relies in the joints, by massaging, stretching, and yawning. And each one at its own time, come back here and now, opening your eyes. Thank you everybody for being there. So just to tell you that in this night, which is a portal, and with the full moon, this night and until the sunrise, we will have the last connection with this group in the Great Sphinx. So whoever feels, you can just think about the Sphinx and perceive the Merkaba and the activation of all the Merkaba of this territory. So thank you and see you tomorrow to close the month of Libra. Thank you.
Y ahora luna llena en Tauro.
Y luna llena en Tauro.
Ahora vamos a dar la meditación.